India and Pakistan have a long and troubled past. The partition of British India in 1947 led to the creation of these two nations. It also sparked violence and displacement on a massive scale. The Kashmir region has been a major point of contention from the very beginning. Both countries claim this strategically important area. This dispute has led to 3 wars and countless smaller conflicts. Tensions remain high to this day. The threat of violence is always present. The two countries have fought over control of glaciers. They have engaged in dangerous military exercises. Each side accuses the other of supporting terrorism. Mistrust runs deep. The situation is a powder keg. Any spark could ignite a major conflict. The international community watches with bated breath. The stakes are incredibly high. The potential for a devastating war is very real. The consequences would be felt around the world. This is a conflict that demands a peaceful resolution. The 1965 war saw fierce battles and significant casualties on both sides. In 1971, the conflict escalated into the Bangladesh Liberation War, leading to the creation of Bangladesh. The Kargil War in 1999 was another flashpoint with high-altitude battles in the Himalayas. Both nations conducted nuclear tests in 1998, raising the stakes to a new level. The 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament brought the two countries to the brink of war once again. The 2008 Mumbai attacks further strained relations, with India accusing Pakistan-based groups of orchestrating the assault. Despite numerous attempts at peace talks, a lasting resolution remains elusive. Both India and Pakistan possess nuclear weapons. This fact hangs over the conflict like a dark cloud. India conducted its first nuclear test in 1974. Pakistan followed suit in 1998. The world watched in horror. The threat of nuclear war became a terrifying reality. Experts estimate that India has around 160 nuclear warheads. Pakistan is believed to have around 170. These weapons of mass destruction have the power to kill millions. A nuclear exchange would be an unspeakable tragedy. The immediate blast would vaporize entire cities. The radiation would contaminate vast areas. A nuclear winter could follow. Dust and smoke would block out the sun. Temperatures would plummet. Global famine would be a very real possibility. The use of nuclear weapons is unthinkable. It would be a disaster for the region and the world. In the event of a conflict, the United States and Russia would likely be drawn in, with the US supporting India and Russia backing Pakistan. China might also get involved, potentially siding with Pakistan, while European nations would push for de-escalation. The international community would be on high alert, striving to prevent a catastrophic escalation. Both nations have developed a triad of nuclear capabilities, including land-based missiles, submarines, and aircraft. This ensures a second strike capability, making the threat of mutual destruction even more severe. Diplomatic efforts are crucial to prevent such a catastrophic scenario. The world must work together to ensure that nuclear weapons are never used again. War between India and Pakistan would be an economic catastrophe. Both countries would suffer immensely. The global economy would also feel the impact. Trade would be disrupted, markets would crash. The cost of the conflict would be astronomical. India is a rising economic power. It has a thriving technology sector. Pakistan is a key player in regional trade. It is a major agricultural producer. War would devastate both economies. Millions would lose their jobs. Poverty rates would skyrocket. The global impact would be severe. Supply chains would be disrupted, energy prices would soar, key industries would be impacted. The technology and medical sectors would face shortages. The world cannot afford a war between India and Pakistan. It would be a disaster for everyone. Agriculture and manufacturing sectors would be hit hard. International trade routes would be severely affected. Economists predict long-term economic instability. Currency values would fluctuate wildly. Humanitarian crises would escalate, requiring massive international aid. Diplomatic efforts would be crucial to mitigate the fallout. The path to recovery would be long and arduous, but with global cooperation, recovery is possible. A humanitarian catastrophe. A war between India and Pakistan would be a humanitarian nightmare. Millions of lives would be at risk, with an estimated 10 million people potentially displaced. The scale of suffering is difficult to comprehend. In past conflicts, refugee camps have been overwhelmed, leading to dire living conditions. The international community would struggle to cope with the crisis. For example, during the 1947 partition, over 14 million people were displaced. The two countries have a combined population of 1.7 billion. That's nearly 25% of humanity. War would displace millions. Refugee camps would be overwhelmed with makeshift tents and inadequate sanitation facilities. Food and water would be scarce. In previous conflicts, shortages have led to malnutrition and dehydration. Disease would spread like wildfire. Overcrowded conditions and lack of medical supplies would exacerbate the situation. Essential infrastructure would be destroyed. Hospitals and schools would be bombed, depriving people of critical services. The Indus River, a lifeline for both countries, could be contaminated, affecting millions who rely on it for drinking water and agriculture. The humanitarian cost of war would be immeasurable. The world must do everything in its power to prevent such a catastrophe towards a shared future. The situation between India and Pakistan is precarious. The threat of war is real. However, there is still hope. Diplomacy and dialogue are essential. The international community must play a constructive role. Both countries must show restraint. They need to engage in meaningful talks. They must address the root causes of the conflict. The Kashmir issue needs a lasting solution. Economic cooperation can build bridges. People-to-people contact can foster understanding. Public pressure can push leaders towards peace. The world cannot afford another war. India and Pakistan must choose the path of peace. A shared future is possible. It requires courage, commitment, and a belief in a better tomorrow. Gap 3S, the path to peace. Despite the challenges, there is a way forward. Peaceful negotiations and mutual respect are key. Both nations must prioritize the well-being of their people. International support can facilitate dialogue. Cultural exchanges can build trust. Economic partnerships can create shared prosperity. The youth of both countries can be a driving force for change. They must be given a voice in the peace process. The future is in their hands. A peaceful resolution is possible. It requires dedication, empathy, and a vision for a better future. Together, India and Pakistan can build a lasting peace. Historical agreements like the Tashkent Agreement in 1966 have shown that dialogue is possible. The Simla Agreement of 1972 further emphasized the importance of bilateral talks. The Lahore Declaration in 1999 was another significant step towards peace. Continued efforts and new initiatives are essential to maintain and build upon these foundations. Gap 3S, the role of media. The media plays a crucial role in shaping public perception. In the India-Pakistan conflict, media can either inflame tensions or promote peace. Responsible journalism is essential. Media outlets must avoid sensationalism. They should focus on facts and context. Social media also has a significant impact. It can spread misinformation quickly. Both countries need to promote media literacy. The international media can help by providing balanced coverage. The role of media in conflict resolution cannot be overstated. It has the power to influence public opinion and policy. A responsible media can contribute to peace. For instance, media coverage can lead to government decisions and policy changes. Expert interviews and in-depth analysis can provide the public with a deeper understanding of complex issues. Social media campaigns and trending hashtags can mobilize public opinion and action. Positive media coverage of peace initiatives and cultural exchanges can foster mutual understanding and cooperation. Gap 3S, the impact on the environment. War between India and Pakistan would have devastating environmental consequences. The use of weapons would cause widespread destruction. Forests and wildlife would be severely affected. Pollution would increase dramatically. The Indus River, a vital water source, could be contaminated. Air quality would deteriorate. The environmental cost of war is often overlooked. It is a critical aspect that needs attention. Protecting the environment is essential for future generations. Both countries must consider the ecological impact of their actions. The Himalayan region, home to vital glaciers, could see accelerated melting. The Thar Desert's fragile ecosystem would be further stressed. The Sundarbans, a critical mangrove forest, would face severe degradation, impacting species like the Bengal tiger. Agricultural regions would suffer from soil contamination and reduced productivity. Gap 3S, the role of international organizations in conflict resolution and peacekeeping. International organizations play a vital role in resolving conflicts and maintaining peace. The United Nations can facilitate dialogue and mediate disputes. Regional organizations also contribute significantly to peace efforts. They provide platforms for negotiation and conflict resolution. International pressure can encourage conflicting parties to engage in peace talks. Humanitarian organizations assist in crisis situations, providing essential support. They offer aid and support to populations affected by conflict. The role of international organizations is crucial in peacekeeping efforts. They help build trust and foster cooperation among conflicting parties. Their involvement can lead to lasting peace and stability. Gap 3S. The power of education. Education is a powerful tool for peace. It can promote understanding and tolerance. Both countries need to invest in education. Schools can teach the value of peace and cooperation. Educational exchanges can build bridges. They can foster mutual respect and understanding. The youth are the future. They must be educated about the importance of peace. Education can break the cycle of conflict. It can pave the way for a better future. The power of education should not be underestimated. Collaborative educational initiatives between India and Pakistan can create lasting bonds. These efforts can lead to a deeper understanding and a shared vision for peace. Technology can further enhance these educational exchanges, making them more accessible. By investing in education, both nations can cultivate a generation that values peace and cooperation. Together they can build a brighter, more peaceful future. Diplomatic engagements. To solve their issues, India and Pakistan need to engage in continuous diplomatic dialogues, focusing on mutual interests and regional stability. India should work on addressing the concerns of Pakistan regarding Kashmir, while Pakistan needs to take concrete steps to curb terrorism. Both countries should also enhance trade relations and cultural exchanges to build trust and understanding. Diplomacy can create a platform for open communication, helping to resolve long-standing disputes. Regular dialogues can help both nations understand each other's perspectives, paving the way for sustainable peace. Diplomatic efforts are crucial for maintaining regional stability and fostering a sense of security. Both countries need to recognize the benefits of cooperation over conflict. By prioritizing dialogue and mutual respect, India and Pakistan can work towards a future where peace and prosperity are shared goals. Diplomatic engagements are not just about solving problems, but about building a foundation for a peaceful coexistence. The road to peace is long and challenging, but with continuous diplomatic efforts, India and Pakistan can move towards a more stable and harmonious future. Diplomatic engagements hold the key to resolving conflicts and building a better tomorrow for both nations. Recently, high-level talks have led to agreements on water sharing and border management. These engagements have resulted in positive outcomes, fostering a sense of progress. Future diplomatic plans include more frequent meetings and a roadmap for sustained dialogue. The Indus Waters Treaty, signed in 1960, has long governed the water-sharing arrangements between India and Pakistan. However, as tensions rise, the strategic importance of water resources becomes ever more apparent. India, with control over the headwaters of the Indus River system, holds significant leverage over Pakistan, a country heavily reliant on these waters for agriculture and daily life. India's potential to manipulate water flow could have severe repercussions for Pakistan. By diverting or restricting water, India can cause droughts, ruin crops, and disrupt everyday life in Pakistan. This so-called water weapon could cripple Pakistan's economy, which is predominantly agrarian. The impact of such a move would be catastrophic. Crops would fail, leading to food shortages and economic instability. Millions of people could face water scarcity, exacerbating humanitarian crises. The environmental consequences would also be dire, with ecosystems dependent on the Indus River facing collapse. While the Indus Waters Treaty has been a cornerstone of Indo-Pak relations, the increasing strain could jeopardize this fragile balance. Diplomatic channels must remain open to address water-sharing issues and prevent the escalation of conflict. It's crucial for both nations to recognize that cooperation over water resources is essential for regional stability and peace. As the world faces growing water scarcity, the strategic importance of water resources cannot be underestimated. India and Pakistan must find a way to manage their shared water resources sustainably, ensuring that both nations can thrive. The potential for conflict over water is real, but so is the possibility for cooperation and mutual benefit. In the end, water can either be a source of conflict or a catalyst for peace. The choice rests with the leaders and people of both nations, who must navigate this complex issue with wisdom and foresight. The conflict over water resources between India and Pakistan isn't just a modern geopolitical issue. It also resonates deeply with age-old prophecies and religious beliefs. In Islam, there's a widely held belief that one of the signs of the end times will be wars fought over scarce water resources. This prophecy is found in various hadiths, the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad, which suggest that water scarcity will be a major trigger for global conflict. As tensions rise over the control of the Indus River system, many are asking whether the ongoing India-Pakistan conflict could be the war that fulfills this ancient prophecy. With both nations possessing nuclear capabilities, the stakes couldn't be higher. Historical references show that water disputes have often led to conflict, but never on such a potentially catastrophic scale. Expert opinions are divided. Some argue that the Indus Waters Treaty, despite its flaws, provides a framework for resolving disputes peacefully. Others warn that the treaty is increasingly under strain, and without renewed diplomatic efforts, the situation could spiral out of control. Religious scholars point to the hadiths as a warning sign, urging leaders and citizens alike to take proactive measures to prevent such a dire outcome. They argue that the prophecy serves as a moral imperative to seek peace and cooperation over conflict and division. The intersection of religious belief and geopolitical reality creates a complex tapestry that is difficult to unravel. Yet, one thing is clear: the importance of water as a resource for life and livelihood cannot be overstated. Whether viewed through the lens of prophecy or practical necessity, the need for sustainable water management and peaceful resolution of conflicts is more urgent than ever. In the end, the prophecy of water wars serves as a poignant reminder of what is at stake. The choices made today will determine whether water becomes a source of life and cooperation or a trigger for conflict and destruction. The future is in our hands, and wisdom and foresight are needed now more than ever. As the prophecy of water wars looms over the India-Pakistan conflict, we must consider how such a war might unfold. The escalation could begin with minor skirmishes along the border. Cross-border shooting, a frequent occurrence, might become more intense and sustained. The line of control, already a tense and heavily militarized zone, could see an increase in sniper attacks and artillery shelling, leading to numerous casualties and heightened tensions. In the skies, aircraft targeting would become a significant threat. Both nations possess advanced fighter jets and anti-aircraft systems. Incidents of airspace violations could escalate into full-blown dogfights, with each side striving to assert dominance. The downing of an aircraft could serve as a catalyst for further military action, pushing both countries closer to the brink of war. Missile exchanges represent the most terrifying aspect of this potential conflict. India and Pakistan both possess a range of ballistic and cruise missiles capable of striking deep into each other's territory. The deployment of these weapons would not only cause massive destruction, but also escalate the conflict to an unprecedented level. The threat of nuclear warfare, a grim reality given both nations' arsenals, would hang over every decision, creating a scenario where even the smallest miscalculation could lead to catastrophic consequences. On the ground, the conflict would likely see the mobilization of large numbers of troops and armored units. Tank battles and infantry engagements could occur in the disputed regions, causing significant loss of life and displacement of civilians. The humanitarian impact would be severe, with millions potentially forced to flee their homes, adding to the strain on already limited resources. The international community would watch with growing alarm as the conflict escalates. Diplomatic interventions and calls for ceasefire would become urgent, but the deep-seated animosities and strategic interests of both nations might make a peaceful resolution difficult to achieve. The world would hold its breath, hoping that cooler heads prevail and that the prophecy of water wars does not become a devastating reality. In this high-stakes scenario, the choices made by leaders on both sides will be crucial. The path to peace, though fraught with challenges, remains an option. It is a path that requires wisdom, foresight, and a commitment to dialogue and cooperation. The future of millions depends on the ability to navigate these treacherous waters without succumbing to the destructive potential of conflict. As the conflict escalates between India and Pakistan, the selection of strategic targets would play a pivotal role in shaping the course of the war. Both nations possess a variety of critical infrastructure and military installations that could be targeted to gain a strategic advantage. In India, Pakistan might aim to strike key military bases and command centres. Locations such as the Western Air Command in Delhi, the Northern Command in Udhampur, and the Southern Command in Pune could be primary targets. These bases are crucial for coordinating defence operations and housing advanced aircraft and weaponry. Communication and transportation hubs would also be high on the target list. The destruction of major railway junctions, airports and ports like Mumbai and Chennai could severely disrupt India's logistics and supply chains, crippling the nation's ability to sustain prolonged military operations. Pakistan might also target critical infrastructure such as power plants, dams and industrial centres. The Bakra Nangal Dam, one of India's most important hydroelectric projects, and the Kudankulam nuclear power plant could be potential targets, aiming to disrupt energy supplies and create widespread panic. Conversely, India would likely focus on neutralizing Pakistan's military capabilities. Key targets would include the Pakistan Air Force bases in Sargodha and Kamra, as well as the Pakistan Naval Headquarters in Karachi. These sites are essential for Pakistan's defense and would be critical to undermine in any conflict. India might also target Pakistan's nuclear facilities to prevent the deployment of nuclear weapons. Sites such as the Khan Research Laboratories in Kahuta and the Chagai nuclear test site could be high on the list. The destruction of these facilities would aim to eliminate the nuclear threat, though it would come with significant risks of radioactive contamination. Infrastructure targets in Pakistan, such as the Tarbela and Mangla dams, could also be targeted to disrupt water and energy supplies. Major cities like Lahore, Karachi and Islamabad, which serve as economic and administrative centres, might face attacks aimed at crippling Pakistan's ability to govern and sustain its economy. The targeting of civilian infrastructure and densely populated areas would have devastating humanitarian consequences. Hospitals, schools and residential areas could become collateral damage, leading to enormous loss of life and a refugee crisis of unprecedented scale. Both nations would need to carefully balance the tactical advantages of their strikes against the potential for international condemnation and escalation into a full-scale nuclear war. The decisions made in the heat of conflict would have far-reaching consequences, not just for the warring nations, but for the entire world. As the spectre of conflict looms, the hope remains that these scenarios never come to pass. Diplomacy, dialogue, and mutual understanding are the only viable paths to ensure that the strategic targets in the crosshairs remain untouched, and that peace prevails over war.